The Dot Podcast, bridging the gap between our real world and online selves, with your host, Kopis Mileni and Erica Lisa.
So we created a podcast to explore this zone.
Hey, what's happening, everyone? It's your favorite shaman. I'm your man, Kopis Mileni, and I'm here with my sweetheart, my lovely co-host, Erica Lisa.
Hi, guys. How you doing? Excited to have you tonight.
Yeah, we had a big week this week. Ooh. We're about to get into this podcast with Kato on the track. He's going to be communicating with us via Skype, but we figured we'd just hop on a few minutes early just to recap some of the amazing occurrences that have popped off inside our life. We did that podcast a couple weeks ago with Aphrodite Love.
Oh my gosh, if you haven't listened to that, I strongly suggest you take the time to listen to that. That woman is beautiful. She has a great, interesting story, everything. It's a really good one, you guys.
Super happy to call her our friend now. Me and her actually did a song together, which is crazy. Like, you go and you do a podcast with someone. Right now we're about to do a podcast with Kato. And, you know, as a rapper, I usually put on my podcast hat when I'm doing a podcast. And if you listen to the Aphrodite podcast, you'll see that I'm not necessarily talking much about music from my experience, but I'm asking a lot of questions because I think that's what people want to hear. I mean, if something naturally pops up inside your brain where you feel like you really need to relate an experience to someone, then, you know, that's something that you want to do. But actually, we just kind of ended up doing that track. We ended up doing 2 extra. And it was completely unintentionally, but it ended up happening. We got the video out, so we really want you to check it out. But I'm really excited because Kato said, yo, ready when you are.
Oh.
So we're going to just bring him on right now.
Really check out that video, you guys. It's something else. There's amazing people in there. Cassandra Cass, Rusty Rooftop. It's a pretty freaking awesome thing. And you won't be disappointed, I don't think. And if you are, well, life's full of disappointment. So you'll just have to move past it.
All right.
Like the ringtone.
I like it. We're doing the Skype, guys. Hello, Kato.
What's going on, man?
Hi. Glad to have you. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all? Good to be live with y'all, speaking with you guys.
Yeah, man, it's super exciting to talk to you. I've been a fan of you for about a decade, and I really got to thank you for throwing that No Sucker MCs contest. It's just was really cool just being part of that experience and, you know, checking out the talent that won the whole contest. And as a rapper, just learning a lot of shit. Going through a contest will teach you a lot of things, you know.
Yeah, and that's what I was hoping for, man. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, so let's just jump right into it, man. We'll double back on some history maybe in a little bit, but I want to talk about this contest. You got your first international MC, legit, that won the contest. Now, That's exciting for you, right? You're bringing someone in from overseas to Atlanta. And has he ever been? I mean, you probably talked to him since the contest. Has he been to Atlanta? Has he been to the States yet?
I don't know if he's been to the States. I don't think he's ever been to the States, and it's definitely going to be his first time in Atlanta. So I've been talking with him via email almost every day now since the contest ended, just, you know, congratulating him and giving him details on his flight and all that stuff. Everything is booked, so his whole trip is booked and planned out. So he's super excited to be flying to Atlanta next month and performing at 83C and getting in the studio. So it's really exciting, man.
He's such an amazing artist. I actually, I'm Erica, by the way. Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you.
I went through, because Copus was, in the contest as well. So I went through and looked at other people's stuff a lot, And I saw his video and I saw his intro and I'm like, this guy is hard. Wow. He's so good. I mean, like his presence and his lyrics and everything, he was just so good. So it's really cool that you found someone from another country and you're bringing them to Atlanta. Atlanta is so awesome, by the way. I've been there several times. I hope you take him to the Pony.
The other thing is he's 17 years old, so he's super young, and he's around that same age that...
Oh, he won't be going to the Pony.
Yeah, he won't be going to the Pony, unfortunately. Maybe in a couple years when he comes back. But, so...
I didn't know he was that young, because he's got like one of those faces
young,
where, he's got some power to his presence. He's got a powerful look. And one thing I got to say about Legit is, man, he really showed what you can do with a simplistic idea. The video was a very simple idea, but he did it to the utmost. And the visuals on that video was amazing. I really enjoyed it. A lot of people are doing a lot of the outline, stuff inside the music video. And if you can make it work, he made it work. He picked those moments, the right moments to use it. So shout out to whoever worked on that video too, because the video was really sick.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, man, and it just goes to show, like, you don't need a lot of fancy shit to impress people. If you can pull it off and do it in a way where your message still gets across and who you are as an artist is delivered in the right way, it really doesn't take a high budget video to do that.
That's what I love about you too, man. Those socials on the kid, I mean, they are just young socials. I looked at his Twitter account and, he didn't have like a crazy clout on Twitter. You just picked a dude because he was raw talent. And now his 100%. Career is about to launch, man.
It's so cool.
It's very cool. And shout out to Kai Nathaniel and Sonny Betts as well for placing inside the contest. They both were super legit, and
I really liked Sonny Betts. I really liked his story and his video. I thought it was really sweet and really cool. I really liked it.
And Maury Martian, who you also mentioned, you gave him a shout out, and he has been networking with a lot of rappers because of the contest. He really jumped on the networking. There was a lot of talent
this year, man. I was really impressed by the level of talent this year, and the female MCs came out this year, and the international rappers and artists came out this year, and it was just, the bar was raised for sure. So I was super impressed by a lot of people.
I saw a tweet that you posted, and you said that, and you would you're way more excited about developing an artist than you would like getting a placement. And, talk that out. Why is that? Why is it that you get excited about developing these artists?
It's the process, man. I mean, my whole career has been based on finding these new artists that no one really knows about and making really dope music with them and blowing up. That's what this whole contest was about too. And through the contest, I met artists like Joyner Lucas, and I met artists like Token way before anyone even knew who these people were, And before that, it was Jarren Benton, and we both kind of came up and got signed to Funk Volume together. And it was my whole career has been based on this process of finding talent, developing them. And to me, that's a much more satisfying, gratifying feeling than shooting some beats via email to an artist and getting a placement. There's just something about the process of doing that together that is just much more gratifying to me. Not that I have anything against getting placements. Placements are awesome, and a lot of times, like, they're a great opportunity and to add another credit to your portfolio. But personally, it's just it's just way fucking cooler to me to develop an artist, you know?
That's such a beautiful thing that you say that, because you get to see the excitement in their eyes, and you get to go on that journey with them, and it's almost like a whole new journey for yourself.
Erica knows a little bit about developing artists.
I do know.
She comes from a different game, though.
I come from the adult land, so I come from the land of porn and nude modeling. For 19 years, I did that work, and my very first manager that developed me, and the very first photographer that ever shot me 17 times when other people didn't, said, like, oh, you need a nose job, oh, you need this, but he saw something in me, and
right.
Man, but
it's the same thing.
It is the same thing, and I've seen other girls. I've actually went and scouted for that type of work. And when you get to experience that with them, it's so fun. It's like you're getting to do it all over again, Right. And that's lovely that you're like that. That's a very selfless act. It's very nice.
And you also got something.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. We can't say enough about producers that are trying to, actually find and scout and work with talent. I got to ask you though, Kato. That makes me wonder, are you like an engineer as well? Because we don't really seek engineering credits unless you go deep into the internet. It's kind of hard to even find production credits sometimes. So do you do engineering?
So these days I have an engineer. His name is Dakota. He mixed me and Jarren's entire last project, Yuck Fu,
which is an amazing album, man. I love that album.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. We worked hard on that album, so it's good to hear that you enjoyed it.
I love that one song from there too.
Collide's your favorite.
Yeah, I love Collide. It's so good.
You like Collide?
I love the video too.
People like Collide.
It's amazing. It's so good. The beat is so good.
Thank you.
By the way, I really like that one a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, I like
credit. Yeah, credit goes to Dakota for making everything sound good. He's really the one who is behind the boards. We recorded a couple of the songs there, and for the most part, Jarren and I just recorded and tracked a lot of the songs right here at my house in Atlanta. So we would record the songs and then send the files to Dakota, and he'd do his magic and make it sound amazing. So that's my man. He makes everything sound perfect.
Nice. Yeah, man, that's so important to the process. We see Jarren's growth as an artist. If you just listen to his albums, you can see him kind of maturing as a man. But as a producer, we could only kind of get that sonically from you. So do you like the fact that, your story's a little bit, more private? Do you enjoy the privacy?
I'm definitely more of an introvert than Jarren is. I don't, I keep to myself, to be honest. Like I usually prefer to be by myself rather than around other people, which is kind of crazy because I don't know that you would necessarily get that from seeing my Instagram or seeing me on social media. And just me being in the entertainment and music world, period, you would think that we're always out at parties and, popping bottles and going to the club or doing shows. And while all of that is true, to me, it's part of the job. It's not what drew me into doing music in the first place. So, I'm an introvert at heart, man.
I can relate to that, Kato, in some sense of like, for my job, my past job, I'd have to be out at the club and doing these things and entertaining and all that. But when I was off work, I just wanted to sit in my house. Like, I didn't really want to be, like, when people would invite me out, if I didn't have to work, I'd be like, I'm just going to, because it's like a job. Exactly. So you have to, like, decompartmentalize, like, work, and you get to have fun at your job, so you don't really need to do it on your time off, right?
Right. It's kind of like, especially when you're on tour, because I just got off a 3-week tour with Jarren, and touring is just like, it's like sensory overload. Like every single day you're traveling to a new city, you're constantly around people, you're around fans, taking pictures, signing things, like interacting with people. And you just never get to turn that off. So when I get off tour, I completely unplug for like a good week and just keep to myself and not do anything. I don't talk to anyone. I just try to get back in the mind frame of getting in the studio and working on new music. So, you know, it's definitely part of the job.
Makes
sense. You know, we're around the same age. I'm like 3 years older than you, man. But we did like grow up inside a phase of life where there was, you know, pre-social media and then post-social media. So we weren't exactly born into social media. That was something that, you know, you end up kind of adapting and it doesn't feel like it's always been there. It's a little bit unnatural for me. In terms of social media, I'm really excited about your Music Entrepreneur Club. I just signed up today and I was just kind of, you know, browsing through, and you got a lot of resources like in the showcase, a lot of things that I think might be able to give me some tips on social media there. But I know our podcast, a lot of times we focus on the aspect of social media, and you being an introvert, how do you challenge yourself to get out there and be on social media, even though I know it's part of the job, but do you ever feel like just goofy about it? Because for me, just because it hasn't always been part of my life and I wasn't raised with rappers that did do it, it just feels goofy sometimes. And I know it's necessary, and a lot of people do it so well too. But it's hard for me to shake off that feeling of like I'm like paying too much attention to myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I understand. I get it. I mean, it's weird, man, because I'm 31, and so when we were growing up, we're kind of like the 1.5 generation. You know what I mean? Like when I was a kid growing up, there was MySpace, which was kind of like the beginning of social media. And we started to see artists like Soulja Boy really taking advantage of MySpace. And he was kind of like the first artist to blow up off of, I guess, what was considered social media. But it was nothing like how things are today with Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat. It wasn't like that back then. So
there was like Soulja Boy and Dane Cook. Like Dane Cook was the comic that somehow figured out to make it work for him.
So we had to learn and adapt how to use social media. And, you know, it's become second nature to me now because I've been using it for so long. I think I've been on Instagram since 2012. So over the years, I've just learned and observed how other people use it, and I just use it to my advantage now, and it's just kind of a part of what I do. But I don't get lost in that whole world of social media. I don't pay attention to what other people are necessarily doing or posting, or there's a lot of fuckery on social media. Like I just straight up, like there's just so much garbage on social media, and if you get lost in that rabbit hole, it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah, it's like watching conspiracy videos on YouTube. I mean, it could just get you like stuck for days.
Exactly. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. So I use it for what works for me, and I use it to keep engaged with my fans and, you know, talk to my fans and followers. But outside of that, man, I don't participate in all the social media fuckery.
Good for you. It's horrible.
It sounds like you just found some consistency with it, and that consistency kind of like bred a little bit of familiarity. So now it's just like another routine of yours, and you figured out a way to not let it fuck with your life. That's cool.
No. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the Music Entrepreneur Club, because I was browsing and I saw like Crooked Eyes got some interview on there, Futuristic. Yeah. Brianna DeMeo I saw too, and I know her from Taste Creators. I talked to her partner a couple of weeks ago, and the guy was just really genuine and cool, and he's going to help me out. You know, we're going to be working on something soon. So nice. I was really cool to see them on there. When it comes to this project, how did it come about?
So shortly after the whole Funk Volume situation ended, when the label dissolved, I was kind of just trying to figure out what to do next. And through that whole process of trying to figure it out, I felt like there was a need in the producer community, especially for an educational platform where producers could go and we could build a community and network and share information, share resources. So that's how the idea for Beat Club started, which was my original mentorship program. And around the same time, Dame was looking to start his own mentorship program called Music Entrepreneur Club. And his was more targeted towards artists and music managers and label owners. So, it just made sense to me that not only because I knew Dame and I was signed to Funk Volume, but it just made sense for me that we would merge and combine our two groups. So we did that.
How did DJ Payne get in the mix?
So DJ Payne one came on after we merged. I, threw around the idea that it would be it would make sense to bring him on, but just because of his knowledge and experience in the music industry. He added a lot of value to what we were doing, and he was already kind of, doing a lot of those video posts, trying to educate the producer community. And I was friends with him through BeatStars, so I just reached out to him and I was like, "Hey, bro, we got this thing going on. Would you be interested in joining?" And just right away, he hopped on board, and that was kind of it from there.
That's tight. And how are you enjoying the experience right now? I mean, it seems like you're always interested in developing young talent or, talent that's emerging. This seems very natural for you. You've been doing it ever since the Don't Fuck Up My Beat contest. I mean, that's the first time I saw you doing it, at least. And then you just revealed to me that you and Jarren Benton, that's before he even was signed to Funk Volume. So you guys came in together, like at the exact same time, or was it like around the same time?
Yeah, so Jarren lives in Atlanta. And when I first moved to Atlanta, I started going out to all the underground hip hop shows around the city. And that's around the time that I met Jarren, just running into him in the hip hop scene here. Doing shows for like 10 people, Yeah. And I thought he was super dope. Like, I didn't understand why people weren't fucking with Jarren more. And so I reached out to him and I was like, "Yo, let's get in the studio. Let's start working." So we started working on music, and, we kept working on it. And eventually we put a project together, and that was Freebasing with Kevin Bacon. Yeah. And that was the project that had a lot of our early songs that kind of caught on. And then we did Schizo, which was our first single. And that's the one that kind of took off and put Jarren on the map. And I guess one of Hobson's fans had posted it on his Facebook, and Hobson saw it. And so he was like, "Yo, Dame, I found this kid Jarren, like, let's fly him out and let's sign him." So next thing you know, he flew out to go meet with everyone, and he was signed to Funk Volume. And then Funk Volume brought me on board around the time that Jarren started working on his first album on Funk Volume. And it's history from there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's awesome.
That's like a really neat experience.
It's really crazy.
It's cool really to come up with the person, that from 10 people to touring.
Yeah, it's crazy how quickly things can change when you least expect it, So that's why I always tell artists and producers, just keep working. Put your head down, keep working, like put in those studio hours, like just work your ass off. Eventually, if you continue doing that, things will happen for you, just like they happened for me. And it'll probably happen when you least expect it. That's the crazy part is, I've heard so many stories where artists are on the brink of just giving up and quitting and saying, "Fuck this shit," and throwing in the towel. And that's when something big happens and it changes their life, But the key is to just work. Like, you have to work. You have to put in the work.
Yeah, absolutely. And, one thing I'd add to that is it doesn't get easier when you get older. There's just more responsibilities and things that, kind of come. It's expensive to be an artist, but it only gets more expensive. So if you're young, definitely just keep moving, because I took breaks, and I think that is definitely, you know, one of the biggest mistakes I've made in my life. Of all the mistakes I've made, and I've gotten DUIs, and, you know, I've done some wild shit that put me inside some trouble. But I think the biggest problem would be, you know, just taking breaks, because that can kill your momentum. And it's beautiful when you start to see, you know, consistent hard work. Me and Erica met in a sex commune cult, like, you know, 2.5, 3 years ago. And ever since...
Wow. You guys have a crazy story too.
Oh, we have a real crazy story, but
you know, when we came out of that spot, we knew nobody but the other like cult members, and we're still cool with a few of them, but it took a while for people to get on their feet. But like, yeah, it took us a while to build a network, and now we're meeting people in LA, and we're going to those shows where there's 10 people, and we're also going to the shows where, you know, Powerhouse, you know, we're going to the big shows too, and we're going to every show that we can, just because we love hip hop, we love the community, we also love comedy, and we really just want to get in where we fit in. And, you know, I just got to tell the young kids out there, man, it seems like it's rough, but it will only get rougher. Things could always get worse. And as long as you keep your head above water and keep moving forward, things will get better. But don't take those breaks. Whew.
well, yeah, I agree with the break thing. You know, Kato, how you said, like, things can happen when you least expect it. For my career, it's the same thing. Like when I was in the adult business, I just worked every day. And then all of a sudden Vivid Video reached out to me and was like, we want you to do a test shoot for a contract. So I didn't know like that was going to happen to me. You know, I just did my job, you know, and somebody there liked me, and certain people saw something in me, and I went to the test shoot and I got picked. And it wasn't that I did anything extra than anybody else that was in that time. It just happens, and you never know when it's going to happen. So always, like I say, give your best self.
Yeah.
You know, always give like 100%, or give your best self, or, you know, don't get discouraged if you don't get picked, because people, you know, you can't get picked every time, and just keep working on new stuff, right?
Yeah. And that's one of the things, you know, I think a lot of people get discouraged, and what I tell them is, you know, you're going to take a lot of L's along the way. Like, you're going to have a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles. And if you don't learn how to channel those losses into motivation, then it's going to be really hard for you, you know? So consistency and work ethic go a long way for me. And anytime I look to work with a new artist, those are some of the first things, sometimes before even the music, you know, because if they have the work ethic, then a lot of times, you know, that goes a long way more so than the talent. So, you know,
yeah, absolutely.
That's a big thing for me.
Hard work is, you know, wins over talent when talent doesn't work hard. So you gotta put that grind in. Yeah, I wanted to ask you, because when you announced the winners, you were talking about the possibility of taking No Sucker MCs live. Are you still entertaining that idea?
I'm working on it, man. I have some things in the pipeline that will hopefully help me turn that into a reality. But yeah, that's 100% still in my plans to do. You
really should do that for sure. You would get a lot of support on the West Coast. I know so many people that would sign up to do that, to just be able to, an opportunity. There are so many people. You may even get like singers, like, you know, all kind of stuff. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of cities that, you know, would pop off. Well, I think the rougher part would be you know, figuring out, you know, how to, you know, pick the people that can perform. Because I think you'd probably have too many people, especially in LA, where you couldn't sit through 100 acts that want the opportunity. Because I see a lot of suspect, in LA, there's all kinds of suspect, perform for this person, that person,
Right.
and they're there for 5 minutes, and people are lining up to sign up for those things until you get burned a couple of times. But legit opportunities like coast to coast, whenever they come down here, there's always, more entries than they need. So I'm sure it would be the same thing with you.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
We're excited for it too. I'm really excited for you. I also think NorCal would be a good spot too. There's a lot of talented people from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
I think that would be fun. I have a personal kind of question to ask you, if that's okay. It's kind of...
Yeah, of course.
So I'm a fan of Trinidad James, and just out of curiosity, how was it to work with him? He has such like a cool swag and vibe and style. He's just different than other people. He seems so positive always. I just wanted to know how that was for you, or...
He was super down to earth. He before he moved out there to LA, or out there to the West Coast, he was in Atlanta, and that's kind of where he caught his break, and that's where All Gold, popped off for the first time.
I love that song.
He was working as a designer, wasn't he? Wasn't he like, I think that's his story, that he was actually like a fashion designer for someone that was popping in Atlanta.
Like a small boutique store here in Atlanta. That's where he worked before the rap thing. And he's a super down to earth guy, man. Like he always keeps it real. He's always the same every time you see him. He always shows love, and that's been my experience with him. So
that's so cool.
He's just a genuine positive dude.
That's what I think of him from his social media presence. And then he's actually been into the place that I work before. I've seen him. I didn't talk to him or anything, but he was in there and stuff. And I'm just like, well, I came home, was like, Trinidad James is in my work today.
yeah.
I just thought it was so cool. And so I just wanted to know your experience, because he's like really kind to people on social media. He's always like, who does the best nails? Hit me in the DMs. I'm doing a video. He's just seems like a nice guy. So thanks for that. That was my personal question. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So do you have any studio stories you can tell with us? Any happy accidents? Maybe something that, randomly that took place that, turned out to, work out. Has that ever happened to you in the studio where you're just playing? Well, that probably happens all the time where you're just playing with, certain things. And then... Yeah.
There's probably a lot of situations that, it probably happens at least a couple times every time I'm in the studio. One instance I can think of just right off top is, so me and Jarren's first single off the Yuck Fu album was a song called Money Bag.
Yeah, Money Bag. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the first song that we recorded for the project. And I remember we were in the studio, and originally he had a completely different hook for that song. And so he rapped it for me, and I was like, okay. It's all right. I don't think that's the one. But let's lay it down anyway and see how it sounds. So he was recording the verses, and he laid down the hook, and I was just like, man, that chorus just doesn't fit for me. Like, it's not doing it for me. So he was like, all right, well, let me just finish the second verse. So he starts rapping the second verse, and he was like, money bag, money bag, money bag. Hell yeah, Tony Montana bag. And that's how he started the second verse. Uh-huh. And I was like, that's the chorus right there. Yeah. I heard that right away, and I was like, that's the chorus. We need to put that on the chorus. So if you listen to the song, the way he starts the second verse is actually the chorus. So he just left it the same. He kept that as the second verse, and he eventually went into other parts. But we took that and made that the chorus on the song. So, that kind of stuff happens all the time, and it's just just on the spot kind of improvising, and playing around with different things. And
you got so many great choruses on that album, man. There's the way that, you know, your beats are designed, you know, and the way Benton, you know, since he's worked with you so long, the relationship you got. I mean, all those like Out of the Mud and Chewbacca, those choruses just really are powerful. You know, a very huge distinction from the verses, which are already, you know, sick. So I can see y'all put a lot of work into that project, man. And, you know, we had to step it up for this project and do something special for fans because, you know, believe it or not, as long as Jarren and I have been working together, we've never exclusively done 100% just me and Jarren. So this was the first project that we ever did that was just my production and him rapping. So we knew it had to be special. We knew we had to step it up. So we put a lot of time into it. That's sick. Well, yeah, man, you could definitely tell. And I'm sure now that you guys got that full experience, I mean, I hope you guys do it again. I hope that's, you know, the next Benton project is another, you know, executive produced by Kato, because I think you guys just work so well as a team, and I know the fans want that. So hopefully you guys get a chance to do that again. When you do you know, get inside the studio and you're making an album, it kind of represents like where you're at a point inside your life, and also what you project into your career too, like where you want your career to go. I think you're putting all that into an album. You're putting the energy of, you know, what you're bringing currently, your mindset, and then you're putting the projections of where you want things to go. Do you ever get, you know, that feeling when you're inside the studio where things are just like, have you ever done Molly before?
Don't ask him that. He doesn't want to tell that. You don't have to answer that. Just plead the fifth.
No, I don't mind. I'm not a huge, you know, I don't even smoke weed. It's not my thing.
Gosh.
But I don't think I've ever done Molly in the studio before. That would be really interesting for anyone. If I ever do that, whoever's with me needs to document what happens, because I have no idea what I would be like.
You'd probably just be a little less, you'd be more uninhibited probably, and just feel some extra like passion about it probably.
You just have to get up and dance in between, you know, layers.
You're just like, I love this. I love that. I'm going to do it again.
Exactly.
Oh my God, no, let's just tweak this just a smidge maybe.
Was that a conscious decision of yours just to keep the drugs away from the studio, you know, or is that just you tried them and they're just not for you? It's just not what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I've smoked before, and it's just not. It makes me feel like paranoid a little bit, and maybe it was just the strain that I was smoking. I don't know what it was, but I've had a couple bad experiences with weed, and so I stayed away from that. I drink occasionally. I've also cut down on that a lot, just because, you know, I'm getting older and my body, I can tell that my body can't handle it as much when I do drink. And outside of that, I mean, it's just been a personal choice, and I feel like, especially nowadays with all the drug related deaths in hip hop and the music industry, like, you know, I think less of that needs to be in the environments that we're in, you know, in the studio or on the road, on tour.
That's why you love Russ, right? No, I'm just kidding.
I agree with you. I agree with you in that sense 100%, because in the business I came from too, and sorry to reference it back to that. That's just what I know. Yeah. And I mean, I did it for 19 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And I've lost like, in not even 3 months, I lost 2 people that I was actually quite close to. And
sorry to hear that.
In their sleep. So who knows? I'm sure it was OD, and then another one in February, you know, a year ago or so, 2 years ago. Yeah. And the thing is when when you have access to stuff like that, it's probably better to keep a clean set or a clean studio because you're really working. You don't want to intermix like drugs and work so much.
Right.
Because then it just turns into sometimes maybe things just aren't getting done properly. I don't know, but I think it's awesome that you live your life like that and aren't promoting it, especially like you're starting like kids' careers or people's careers in general. And so if you start your career using, then what do you have next, you know?
Yeah, definitely mad respect. Kids definitely need more role models of people that are able to function inside life, are able to make choices and decisions without having to use those kind of coping mechanisms, because life is really hard. And when you do, like Erica was saying, get into the habit of drinking or partying and to kind of cover up whatever pain is going on, it's only going to, take you down another rabbit hole you just don't want to go down. And once you get caught in that shit, damn, it's hard to get out too.
Well, just for the record,
especially in the lifestyle in the entertainment and music industry, when you have access to drugs in the industry that we're in, it becomes really, really hard to break because it's always readily available and it's almost accepted in our industry. It's almost expected that drugs are going to be around everywhere you go. So I think it even more deterred me from being around that kind of stuff just because, or choosing to participate in it just because I knew that. Like, I see it all the time and I see how it affects people's lives, and why would I want to do that to myself? So
right. And people also use it though just for I don't want everyone to think that people would use it because they're sad or something. Some people do it to mask their nerves. Yeah. And you don't need alcohol to perform, or you don't need cocaine, or you don't need weed. You can perform as your great self without those things, And I think sometimes people do it to take the edge off, and then they get caught in a habit of a terrible spiral.
And I see it. Yep. And I see it all the time, being on tour and doing these shows, like alcohol and drugs becomes a crutch for you. It becomes a crutch for you to take off the edge and for you to be comfortable just being in your own skin, because it is nerve-wracking. Like when you go on stage and you're not sure how people are going to react and you're performing, music, which might be personal to you and your life experience, like it's a vulnerable position to be in. So I totally understand it. But at the same time, that's when substance abuse becomes a problem, because it becomes a habitual habit that's formed over you using it as a crutch, and so I just never wanted to get myself mixed up in that cycle.
Good for you. I have seen it too, and it really does happen like that. People don't, so that's awesome. Good for you.
I've seen a lot of rappers ruin their performance getting too fucked up too.
Man.
A lot of people that, I look up to, I'm just like, damn, I caught you on a bad night because I've seen you before, but shit.
I see it all the time too, and I hear horror stories about it. Like your idols, you get let down because they're so fucked up on stage that you're like, wow, this shit is horrible, and it just goes to show you like how much of a downward spiral that eventually becomes.
Yeah, man. Well, Kato, you are a fucking good dude, man. Thank you for coming on the dot. Thank you for all these opportunities that you're providing for artists. And, thank you for just being yourself, man, because I think you really are holding it down. When I was growing up, man, the underground was like Def Jux and, Rhyme Sayers and, that was the shit that I grew up and I loved, and I still do. Yeah. I still do. And LA hip hop would be like Visionaries and, Abstract Rude and AC Alone, all that stuff. And I think you are holding it down for the modern era in that same kind of landscape. And you're making that true, honest music that the mainstream won't play. And I love you for that, man. Really do. And really appreciate you on here. I just, I'm going to say one more time, because just so we can leave it on kind of a light vibe, if you could maybe share a fun story with us.
Oh, yeah, sorry, we got
and
off.
then we'll let you go, man. Thank you again.
Oh, man, a fun story. Man. I definitely have some tour stories.
Oh, those are good. Those are good. Tour stories
Tour stories are always good. I'm trying to think of a good one that won't get me in trouble with my girlfriend. Because those can always be incriminating.
Hey, what's been in the past has been in the past.
Well, not everyone's
My girlfriend's a porn star, man. I can't dive into that past.
I
was a porn star, right? Yeah, exactly.
Former.
Right. That's right. I know all about tour stories, Kato.
Why don't you share one? I would love to. I feel like I should be interviewing y'all because it sounds like you guys have some amazing stories.
No, you're our guest. You tell us a story. Or, okay, what are you looking forward to at the show in Atlanta, the convention?
A3C?
Yeah, AC3. What are you looking forward to most? Performing? Are you looking forward to performing? What are you looking forward to the most?
So I'm definitely looking forward to performing because for the first time, we've been going to A3C since it started, like over 10 years ago. And me and Jarren have been going every year because it's in our city, And we've been doing small showcases here and there, but this is the first year finally that we're getting to perform on the main stage with like Lil Wayne and
congratulations.
Yeah, that's fucking dope.
So cool.
Congrats.
I love Lil Wayne.
Crazy.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, we're
hopefully he's not too fucked up.
I'll let you know.
Yeah, please do, but that's real talk, no shade.
Yeah. And then I'm also speaking on the conference side. So A3C has the festival side, which are all the shows and performances, and then they also have couple days of like conferences, panels, speaking engagements. So I'm doing both this year. So I always look forward to like just speaking to people like how we're talking now and getting to just, relate to people on that level and share information and network, and then obviously I'm flying out legit from the UK. So I can't wait to meet this kid and get in the studio and see him perform. And I think that'll be a really dope experience.
That's just so awesome. Congratulations on doing the panel and performing on the main stage. Like, what a cool feeling. That feeling must feel so good. Just hold on to that feeling. If you're ever in a sad place, just remember that feeling.
Yeah. No, I'm
really excited for you.
Probably you're just starting, man. You've been in the game forever, but I see you still got passion. You're still putting out these projects and looking for new talents. So I think Kato's just getting started. And I appreciate you, man, for coming on the podcast. It was so nice talking to you. You made my birthday, man. You really did. So
happy birthday.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you being on the dot, and we love you guys.
Thank you, Kato, and good luck for your performance and all your endeavors. So you're a really good man.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Of course. Take care.
Take care.